Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
With a 3-game winning streak in their back pockets, the Tigers are back to work tonight. It is a gorgeous night for baseball here in the Motor City as we welcome you to Comerica Park. Game 2 in this series featuring the Detroit Tigers and the visiting Texas Rangers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Kirk Gibson. Glad to have you with us here for Game 2 in the series. Alfredo Simon, he was awesome in Game 1 last night. The hope is Verlander will follow suit here in Game 2. And when you look at some of the numbers that JV has put up lately, they've been awfully impressive. In his last 5 starts, the hits are down, the strikeouts are up, the walks are down, and quite honestly, Kirk, JV's been on a roll.
Well, really the number I look at is the walks are down, which means the strikeouts are up. He's a veteran guy. You got to give him credit for turning it around. His first 5 starts of the year were kind of like spring training when everybody else was at full speed, and now he's healthy. He's making his 12th start tonight, and he's got all of his pitches working. You know, he's always kind of threw the ball arm side to the right-handed batter's box. He's got his fastball right there, really driving the ball down in the zone and up in the zone. His changeup does the same, always going away from the lefty, down and into the righty. The curveball he uses off the body to the righty, and then down under the hands to the lefties. The pitch I really like, though, is that slider. He's throwing that off the body, gives him a whole different look, backdoor to the lefty, and that's given himself a whole new sequence and a new dimension to his pitches, and he's starting to look like the pitcher who's thrown 200 innings for the last 8 years.
All right, if JV can win this one for the Tigers tonight, that would be a 4-game winning streak. They haven't had one of those since the first week of the season. After a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios. Check in with Johnny Kane. Coming up in this one tonight, well, the Tigers were off to the races last night. Kinsler tripled, the 37th of the year for the Tigers. That's a league high. together here in Game 2 in this series. Justin Verlander on the mound for the Tigers, presented tonight by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
JV making his 310th start for the Tigers tonight. The record is not really accurate. He's thrown the ball very well in his last 5 starts. ERA, everything on the way down, throwing the ball very well. Tigers have a nice shot at winning this game tonight with JV on the mound.
And we'll see the lineup that JV will face here tonight, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. For the Rangers, it'll be Delino DeShields leading off in center field, followed by Shin-Soo Choo. Fritz Fielder, the DH, Beltre, Moreland, Andrews in the middle. Rougned Odor has been really ripping it up in his last 21 road games. Venable and Wilson to follow him. And we are ready for baseball here tonight as Delino DeShields Jr. stands in. Like many of the Rangers last night, was hitless, 0 for 4. Texas had only 1 hit last night. And JV goes to work with a fastball strike, 0-1. Verlander in the month of August, a 2.25 ERA, despite the fact he has no wins this month. We'll see if the Tigers can support him with some runs tonight. That's outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. 77 degrees, our game time temperature this evening. DeShields batting .259, 1 home run. His game is speed. Want to keep him off the bases. And a strike call, 1-2.
JV coming out throwing a lot of heaters right now, meaning the fastball. Talked about in the open, runs to the right-handed hitters, runs into him. Talked about the slider. He's see if he doesn't use that away right here.
Swing and a miss. Right on cue, and there's a strikeout. So DeShields is out of there. Take a look at the defense for the Tigers tonight, presented by Beaumont Health. Behind JV, the Tigers have ghosts in the middle of the outfield. Collins and left, Martinez in right, Castellanos, Cabrera on the corners, Iglesias and Kinsler, the double play combination, and Alex Avila spelling James McCann tonight. Avila, Verlander, your battery.
Yeah, James McCann catching a lot of games. Caught the night game in Chicago and now caught the game last night, so getting the day off.
Shin-Soo Choo, 244 batting average for Choo. Ball 1. Choo has 15 home runs this year, was hitless last night, 0 for 3, but he did have a walk. Here's the 1-0 from JV. And it's a little bit outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Choo has really done well since the All-Star break. In fact, he's been on 25 consecutive games, on base 25 straight. Did not have a hit last night, but the base on balls allowed him to reach. 2-0 was swung on and missed.
I was reading where Choo made his big turnaround after a conversation with his wife during the All-Star break. And she gave him a talk about building a building. Strong foundation, not the curb appeal. Don't need to justify the contract. Just be true to yourself. And he's had more confidence working the counts, hitting the ball to the opposite field, etc., and feeling good about himself.
Swing and a miss again, 2-2. Well, that contract was a 7-year deal that he signed after the 2013 season. Rangers signed him up, and here are the numbers, the splits.
Well, some people go the other way. They don't feel like they have anything to prove, and they get a little lazy. But Choo obviously was getting banged up over the fact that he didn't feel like he was living up to it.
Did he go? Did not. Ron Culpo said he held up.
We'll take a look here in the side swing. Looks like he held up. JV trying to climb the ladder there. Talking about it earlier that he's driving the ball down and up in the zone, pitching to all 4 quadrants.
Here's the 3-2. Lifted back out of play. Well, Choo is a guy, when he came up in the big leagues, Gibby could do a little bit of everything. Could run, could hit with power, good defender. That's why he got the 7-year deal.
Yep, the pastures aren't always greener though when you go somewhere else, and you know, everybody expects if you have a good year, you're going to have a better year every year, but it doesn't work that way. It's very hard to duplicate what you do. your opponents make adjustments to you, and it's a tough game, very tough game. And it's such a game of failure, you beat yourself up, and that adds to the problem.
The 3-2 to Chu is ball 4. He draws a walk. 1 on, 1 out. So now Prince Fielder strolls in. Still a frosty reception for Prince, and he just kind of chuckles about it.
Yeah, he wants to get back at us. Don't wake him up. Having a great year so far.
Fielder has 47 multi-hit games this year, which is tops in the league along with Kinsler. After missing most of last year with the neck surgery. There's a ball outside.
Chu not much of a threat, only 3 attempts this year. Had been caught 1 time. Back in the day, he stole many bases, but the guys, you get a little older, you're not as aggressive. Takes a lot out of the legs.
The 1-0 outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Verlander in his last start against the Astros on the road, 7 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts. In fact, he's had 7 punch-outs in each of his last 2 starts. And Prince takes the 2-0 pitch high, 3 balls, no strikes.
Everything a little arm side high right now. Can't get the ball down. And if you're thinking about the runner, that adds to the complication, and gonna have to take his time and try and get a strike here.
Adrian Beltre on deck. Fielder swinging on 3-0, sends it in the air toward left field. Collins on the move, he'll get there. And back to first goes Chu. 2 gone. And bring up Beltre. In your managing days, how many guys really didn't mind swinging 3-0, and were there guys where you didn't mind them swinging 3-0?
I gave the sign to most, especially if you're in spring training, but you want to find out who's comfortable with it, and many guys would not swing, like you say, but you have to do it because you have to learn to really be selective and get what we call right down Broadway into your hot zone. You got to practice it just like anything else, and then as a manager you determine who you feel comfortable with, and those are the people you give the green light to. I mean, that count alone has got a huge slugging percentage when you hit the ball. A lot of damage done on 3-0.
Ground ball right back to the mound. JV snags it. That'll end the inning. No runs, a walk. 1 man left. We'll go to the bottom of the first at Comerica Park. ball game. Their starting lineup tonight presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And for Detroit, Kinsler, Collins, Cabrera. The top three. Miggy has done awfully well since his return from the DL. Victor, then J.D. Martinez, Nick Castellanos, bottom three of Avila, Iglesias, and Ghost. And they are facing the right-handed offerings of Colby Lewis.
Colby Lewis, 13-5, having a pretty good year. Used to throw much harder. Fastball around 88 miles an hour. Very crafty, good veteran. Won 5 of his last 6.
Lewis will face Kinsler, who is batting in the leadoff slot in this one. He looks at a ball outside, 1-0.
Did you see we have 2 number 3s on the field today?
We do, as a matter of fact. Tram.
Yeah, standing in again. I guess Dave Clark had a family deal going, so Tram standing in again, and Omar Vizquel was third base coach. We saw Tram with number 4 on the last time he was in uniform.
Bouncer. Whoa, look at that play by Colby Lewis. Looky what I found. 1 out.
These are things that happen with veteran guys, and he does a lot well. This is behind the back. Escavano probably would have went to the second baseman, but nevertheless made the play.
Rangers defense brought to you by Tim Hortons. The Shields in center, Venable in left, Chu in right. Elvis Andrus, 19 errors this year, which is the second most among shortstops. Lewis Wilson, your battery. And Colby Lewis, after a fine defensive play, will face Tyler Collins now batting in the 2 slot. So both starting pitchers tonight have made a pretty good play. First one pounded down the left field line, foul.
You want to be awake out there, 60 feet 6 inches away. After the follow through, you're probably about 56, 55 feet. Go stand out there for BP one day, would you?
You know, I'm probably not going to do that.
I think you should just do it for the appreciation there.
Oh, no, I appreciate it.
So you have a better perspective.
It is an interesting thought, though. The one thing I always wanted to do was stand in the batter's box and face Randy Johnson just to see what it was like to face him.
Scary. I did it. He always buzzed you.
1-2. Now I wanted guarantees that he wouldn't hit me. I just wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah, just stand outside of the screen and you can run behind it. If something comes at you, you'll have plenty of time to get behind the screen.
It's fouled away.
Tyler Collins done a pretty good job since he's come up for the Tigers. Hit 295. Starting to feel much more comfortable. He's a good hustler, I'll tell you.
Now Lewis ready with the 1-2. Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now when you say you faced Randy Johnson and it wasn't easy, we believe you, but we have the stat crew.
Yeah, it's not good.
Look at their numbers against Randy.
Boy, you guys are all over me, huh? What did I do?
Do you want me to recite them?
Yeah, sure.
0 for 5.
I got a walk in there.
3 punch outs.
Yeah.
Oh, you do have a walk in there, huh?
Well, when John Wathan, our manager, got fired, Bob Schaefer became the manager,
right,
and he led me off against Randy. He said he wanted me to lead off. Thought maybe he knew something that I didn't.
Well, you actually had 3 walks in your career against the unit. Ball is driven foul out of play.
Got to dig in and scrap it. Got to dig in, find a way. Get on that base.
The one memory, of course, I have of Randy Johnson in the All-Star game was his at bat against John Kruk, where he buzzed him.
Yeah, I remember that.
2-2. Collins trying to get something started here in the first. Lifted in the air toward left. Venable is on the move. 2 gone.
Protecting there. Ball running down the way. Lewis is a master in location. The ball's moving away from Collins. Actually hit that ball farther than I thought he was gonna. Nevertheless, slide out to the left fielder.
So here is Cabrera batting a lofty .358. There are 42 games remaining, including tonight. He needs 139 plate appearances to qualify for the batting title.
Think he's going to make it?
I think so. I hope so. That's in the shallow right field. Who wants it? It'll be the right fielder Chu, and it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning. Nothing doing as we go to the second. No score. Brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be. What is time? Come to Comerica. Jeep, find your summer of adventure with great deals at the Jeep Summer Clearance Event. And by Pringles Potato and Tortilla Chips. Pringles, you don't just eat them. So we go to the second on a pristine night here at the ballpark. The Tigers and Rangers get together for Game 2. Mitch Moreland will start things off for Texas. Moreland, Andrus, and Odor in the top of inning number 2. Pretty good year this year for Mitch Moreland. .291 batting average. Good power.
He's a big guy. Hasn't really hit that many home runs over his career, but having his best year so far in his young career.
Yeah, career high in homers and RBI as well. Here's the 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes.
Justin is he keeps missing on that arm side, and he's got to find a way to correct it out there on the mound.
Swing and a miss. Big rip there by Moreland. Verlander walked a batter in the first. He also struck one out and made a nice defensive play and a hard hit ball right back at him.
Yeah, those pitches up there that are coming out of the zone, if they're in the zone, that's a tough pitch to catch up to. You can see it's got a lot of life on it. Good finish coming in this time.
2-2.
That ball started on the inside part of the plate and ran right down over the middle. See the grip comes out. That's why he's having a hard time throwing a strike. Sometimes you can have too much movement.
Swing and a miss. Down goes Moreland, the second strikeout for Justin.
Again, kind of made the adjustment like we were talking about. Catcher Avila setting up on the inside part, letting the ball work back across the plate. Gets the strikeout.
And stay tuned to Tigers Live following the game. We'll select the Fox Sports Detroit Tigers player of the game, presented by McDonald's Steak and Egg Burritos. Alfredo Simon certainly lit it up last night, gave up just 1 hit. The Rangers had not had an opposing pitcher throw a complete game shutout against them since Mark Burley's no-hitter in '07. And they've had some prolific offensive teams in Texas.
And Simon was down to his last hitter. I asked Brad, how much farther were you going to let him go? He said that was his last hitter.
Elvis Andrus batting .253. Swing and a miss.
Good slider there. We talked about that in the open. Most of the balls move back in towards the right-handed hitter. That one starts on the outside part of the plate, just breaks off. Good sequence there.
Andrus takes outside. You know, talking about Simon, Gibby, I think the fact that he had a pretty snappy 1-2-3-8 allowed him to go back out there for the 9th, but that error that was committed kind of lengthened the inning a little bit. But Brad let him go as long as he could.
Yeah, well, he pitched out of it. He got the ball on the ground there. He had 1 line out to the second baseman in that inning. 3 ground outs.
Meanwhile, Andrus just drilled one off of, I believe, his leg.
I don't see a pad on there. Maybe the next at bat. Oh, that's off the shin by the knee. That'll leave a little mark, won't it?
Might leave a big one. Here comes the trainer now.
Yeah, some hitters do that quite frequently. Fortunately, I didn't do it too much, but I did hit one off my shin one time and then hit another one in the next game. But, you know, those things, most of the time you can walk them off. And, of course, the pitchers are so generous, they'll probably come right back in there.
Absolutely.
Bernard's brings you the big money encounter was from last night. Alfredo Simon, we've been talking about him. He had everything working, all the pitches. Threw a lot more strikes than normal, but had the Rangers popping it up, ball on the ground. The splitter was outstanding. You see all the depth right there. Got him looking for the breaking ball. Hit this fastball by him. And Tigers are looking for many more of those to close out the year from Alfredo Simon.
Well, the depth of that splitter and the breaking ball really were evident last night.
Yeah, his breaking ball was on more than we've seen in a while.
Andrews slices one over the head of Kinsler into center field, a base hit. First hit of the ball game for Texas.
They tried to go back to the slider there, didn't have as much depth, and Andrews just poked it over Kinsler's head.
It'll bring up Rougned Odor, who last night was 1 for 3, had a 2-base hit. It turned out to be the only hit that Simon would allow in that game.
Got a double out of it, and JD, is that the one that JD Martinez made a great throw on?
Yes, sir. And it would have been his 14th assist had JD caught him.
Yeah, I talked to him about that. He said that he thought the ball was hit harder. He laid back on it just a little bit. I told him I thought he did everything he could on that. Good trick slide by Odor.
Yeah, that got him in because the ball beat him there. And it looked like he was out. Swing and a miss. Odor must get hammered in that front elbow a lot because he's got that big padding going. Taking a look down at third base with the 1-out base runner.
Yeah, many don't like those because they're kind of bulky and they feel that they inhibit on the elbow. Well, there's this play we were talking about last night. Odor with the only hit of the game. Out to JD Martinez in the 5th inning. Very aggressive. You'd think the guy's got 13 assists. You're not going to run on him, but he does. Ball beats him. Look at the trick slide. Pulls the arm back. Left arm around. Got him in there.
I mean, that throw beat him by 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah, but he didn't score. That's all the most important aspect of that play.
Here's the 0-2. Sliced away.
Andrus really no lead over there at all. Does have 11 steals.
Odor started the season as the second baseman for the Texas Rangers, but he struggled mightily. In fact, he hit 144 at the beginning of the year, was sent back down and tore it up at AAA. And they brought him back up. Runner goes and a ground ball to first. Miggy bobbles, and he'll have only one play to tag the bag for the out. So advance the runner to second.
Yeah, Andrus just kind of played coy over there. Had no lead at all, but timed JV. Got a good jump. Miguel tried to make the quick play, but took the safe out instead.
Now Will Venable, recently acquired just a couple of days ago from the Padres. Josh Hamilton on the disabled list with some knee inflammation. So that's a potentially big bat out of the Texas lineup.
Yeah, they're going to try and fill in with Will Venable. He's used to be a dead low ball hitter, but seems to be getting on top of the ball better up in the zone.
0-1.
Lots of power.
Rangers last night had only 2 runners reach second base. Nobody reached third. That's how dominant Simon was. The 0-1 to Venable. 0-2. We mentioned last night he went to Princeton University, but not only did he play baseball there, but was a basketball player at Princeton.
Yeah, great athlete. His dad played, right?
He did. Max played 12 years in the big leagues. Currently a hitting coach.
Study of humanity, right? Anthropology.
Anthropologist.
Social and cultural. As we get deeper into that comment.
Here's the 0-2. There's a ground ball just foul outside of the bag.
Do you know anybody else that's majored in anthropology?
I do not. No. I was trying to think of that the other day when I read it. I do not know one anthropologist, nor do I know an archaeologist.
Stop. Now you're trying to lead me down some trail.
No,
here.
I'm not
biting.
I'm just, they're ologists that I don't know many of them.
Well, I could think of a few more, but we're not going to mention them.
I know you could, and let's just stop it there. 0-2.
So we just have some conversation, watch JV get this guy. That's what's fun about watching a baseball game.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Will Venable. Rangers trying to score first in this one. A single by Andrews. He's at second with 2 gone. A bluff back to second base. Iglesias is just so active out there. I mean, a lot of times he'll do what he can to hold that runner as close as possible. He'll run circles out there, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, normally with 2 strikes and 2 outs, you wouldn't pay too much attention. But nowadays, you get more stolen bases in those counts. There is a slight increase in probability of scoring.
Should Venable reach, the number 9 hitter Bobby Wilson on deck. Right now, Venable battling. Vila goes out to the mound to have a chat with Verlander. Here's the ratio.
35 total, 22 of them strikes. And Avila, just veteran guy, wants to make sure they're on the same page. Do have a pitch to waste if you'd like to do it to set up the next pitch. 63% of those are he's throwing his fastballs.
And he fought off another one. Venable in his San Diego days, 6 homers this year, 30 RBIs. Teams can still trade. We talked a little bit about this last night. The trading deadline is July 31st. That's when no waivers are required. You can still make deals in August, but you have to put players through waivers.
Been a few deals after the deadline this year. Seems like it's picking up.
Again, the 1-2, and he missed it high, 2-2. I think we'll probably, once you get to the final 2 or 3 days of the month of August, you'll probably see a few more, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, is August 31st the deadline for the playoff roster?
Correct.
Yeah, so you have to make the moves by then if you want to get to the playoffs and you want that player on the roster.
So you can make a deal in September. They're just not eligible for postseason. And he just missed. Oh, the Tigers infield to a man was heading back to the dugout. 3-2.
Well, I'm not sure where this is. Looks like it caught the corner to me.
Got to call that, don't you?
I think JV, after all those games started, 350 some games, you'd think he might get it, but he didn't. Got to make a good pitch here.
Slice to left center field. It's going to get down, and it's extra bases, it appears, for Venable. A run will score. It's bobbled in center by Ghost, and now Venable takes the turn. He's going to try for 3, and he'll get in there standing up. And the Rangers have a 1-0 lead.
I tell you, I know JV's frustrated when he didn't get that call. And as soon as that ball was hit over the shortstop Iglesias' head, he turned and looked in at home plate. It is frustrating, but you gotta get this next guy. We gotta cut it off. He hit a bullet right over Iglesias' head. Never believe in rushing when you get down there on the wall or on the warning track. Nothing good can happen. Take your time, pick the ball up one time, and get it in.
Bobby Wilson stands in with a man at third. That'll go as a double and an error on Anthony Ghost. Rangers lead 1-0. Wilson batting $195. Back out of play 0-2.
Bobby Wilson, the catcher, came out of Mike Scioscia's school of catching over in Anaheim. Had him in Arizona. Great attitude from this kid. Worked hard every day. He's really got some good playing time for the Rangers this year. Very good catch and release guy. Swinging the bat better from the right side this year.
And down he goes via the strikeout. Third of the game for Verlander. The Rangers, though, get a 2-out run on a double by Venable.
Injuries to Anibal Sanchez and to Daniel Norris. Detroit was forced to go looking for another starter. Wolf was 9-2 with Buffalo, the minor league affiliate for the Toronto Blue Jays. Detroit gave him some cash. He is so fortunate and happy to be back here after suffering through a lot of heartache this year that included a lot of guys getting called up to Toronto, a team that needed started pitching, that didn't have his credentials. Ironically, Mario and Kirk, 3 years ago, on his birthday, he told me he was fired. Tomorrow, it is his 39th birthday, and he feels like he's reborn. Back upstairs to a couple of guys who only act like they're 39.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Well, congratulations to Randy Wolf. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch him pitch, and, well, that's a pretty good birthday present, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, and he's really persevered. To give a guy credit, spending that much time in the minor leagues after he was a really good big league pitcher. So has the desire to keep going. Done so back in the big leagues. Very smart, much like Colby Lewis. He knows how to pitch.
Experience certainly counts for something. 2-1 on Victor Martinez. He'll be followed by JD and Nick Castellanos. And he missed the outside corner, 3-1.
Yeah, you use that knowledge and that wisdom, things you picked up over the years, and use it to your advantage.
Lewis had a 1-2-3 first inning. And a strike called. And the Bernstein advantage brings you the pitcher-batter matchup, and through the years, this has been a really good matchup for Martinez.
Some damage in there, too.
Drilled to center field. And it's going to be caught by the Shields. 1 out. We'll bring up JD Martinez.
Well hit ball there. Good count.
Speaking of birthdays, it is JD's 28th birthday today. So I guess we should say Feliz Cumpleaños.
Why would you do that?
Because it's in Spanish.
I understand that. Trying to trick me again, aren't you?
No, I'm not baiting you or tricking you.
You know, I tell you, players have really good days on their birthdays and unforgettable days, you know.
I can imagine.
The birthday gives you no slack in this game. JD's been on fire for the Tigers.
Bouncer to short, ranging left Andrews. JD's out of there. That's 5 in a row retired by Colby Lewis.
Colby Lewis thrown on quite a few strikes, 13 out of 20. He can be a guy that works the edges a little too much and get himself in trouble, but so far in this game, being pretty aggressive against the Tiger hitters.
Castellanos with 60 RBIs. Nick drove in a pair last night. He has had some really good at-bats recently, and I think it has coincided, not coincidentally, with him raising his socks up to his knees.
You think that's what did it?
I know it is.
Well, let me pull mine up.
Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Give me some hits. You know, I've heard that one too. Whatever makes you feel good, you want to be in the right frame of mind. Absolutely. But Nick's another guy been on fire.
Lunging for that one, he flies it lazily to center field where DeShields is there. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Colby Lewis. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. Look good throughout the first pitch.
Spartans are in the house every night here. And Mateen Cleaves. Sparty's here. Paws and Sparty, they act like they know each other.
They probably hang out in the mascot circles.
Yeah, that was a pretty good throw, by the way, by Mateen. He stopped up in the booth, always smiling. He would smile if he threw it into the dirt. The guy is.
And you were trying to make him throw it in the dirt. You were making him nervous.
No. It's just dealing with a little pressure.
Bunted, Avila, nice play, but it's going to be late. That is the 10th bunt hit this year for Delino DeShields. It's something he does extremely well.
He did. He did the ball well. I mean, he probably got it right off the end of the bat. That's what you try and do. And Avila really makes a pretty good play on it, but DeShields scoots down there pretty good, and the leadoff Texan on base.
It'll bring up Shin-Soo Choo. Cabrera's already messing with him. Choo walked in the first inning. He's had a couple of walks in the series. He's now reached base in 26 consecutive games.
You know, on that bunt, there's really nothing you can do. That was just a perfect bunt.
Well, I thought Avila made it as close as he possibly could.
Yes, he did. It's that area in front of the plate can vary. You know, in some ballparks they're real hard, and some they're really soft. Kind of determines how far the ball goes, and it's kind of a hard area to go through for a catcher to make a play.
JV will toss back. DeShields is a guy that can and will run. In fact, 1 year in the minor leagues, that was 2012, he stole 101 bases.
He has 21 for the Rangers so far this year. He's going to go somewhere.
How do you steal 100 bags? Now, this is a minor league season we're talking about.
You go just about every time you get on base, and you know, obviously has good instincts, good speed. Iggy trying to distract him, keep him there. Now, a base stealer, sometimes you're not going in your own mind, but after the pitcher throws over there a couple times, at some point that little trigger goes off in your head. You don't think he might throw over like for the third time here, and you try and get a jump and go.
Ball high, 1-1.
The JV right there is about a 1.1 seconds from the time he moves to the catcher's mitt, which is good to keep the runner there, but maybe rushing his pitches a little too much, and it makes it hard to execute a good strike.
That's fouled away, 1-2 on Shin-Soo Choo. Rangers got a run in the second. They lead 1-0. Leadoff bunt single for Delino DeShields Jr.
I think if it gets to 2-2, you might see him going. He's trying to predict an off-speed pitch here.
And a strike call to catch him looking. Will be 4 strikeouts for Verlander. Choo did not like that call. Time for a game break now. We check in with Justin White. All right, J-Dub, thanks. Here is Prince Fielder. Big swing there for Prince.
Miguel Montero, one of my favorites. Brought it every day. Catcher, bring it every day. And you look at McCann, James McCann, the way that he does it. That's a tough position. And when you have catchers who bring the energy day in and day out, is this great leadership, good example for the rest of the team.
You know, the Cubs came in hot against the Tigers, and the Tigers put it on them for 2 days. And I wonder if teams start to think, well, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. But they bounced back nicely.
Yep, that's what good teams do.
Oh, he threw it away. And DeShields might get the third on this.
Yeah, he's going to easily. You need to get it in quick.
It's going to be dug up by J.D. Martinez, and all the way to third base goes DeShields.
Now you need to decide you want to bring the infield in. It's only the third inning. Prince Fielder's been swinging the bat pretty good this year. Maybe a little risky by bringing the infield in at this point. If you keep throwing over there, you're going to increase the odds of throwing one away, and that's what happens here. The Tigers will have the infield in.
0-1 on Fielder. Tigers now have committed 9 errors in their last 11 games. Ian Kinsler's had a couple.
They've also made some very good plays, and Kinsler uncharacteristically has made a couple. Had 2 in one game and another.
Tigers most of this year have been a really good defensive team in terms of how they stacked up against the rest of the league. Fielder trying to drive in a run with less than 2 outs. And he sends a high fly ball to left field. Collins will size it up. DeShields will tag. He's coming home. Collins airs it out, but it's going to be off target. Sac fly RBI for Prince Fielder.
Yeah, good approach there by Prince. Just lets the ball get deep. Gets the sac fly. Got to give Texas credit to get a bunt single to lead off the inning. Entice the throw over and get the easy run.
50 now for Verlander. Here's Adrian Beltre. Ball one. Is it just me, or does Beltre wear the bill of his helmet low? Almost looks like he can't see over the bill or under the bill.
Well, the kind of career he has, obviously he can't.
He can see very well. It's fouled away.
That's close to us right there.
Bring your glove.
I did not.
1 ball, 1 strike on Beltre. Hit a ground ball sharply back to the mound in the first inning. JV made a nice play on it. A little low, 2-1. Verlander made a really close pitch on Will Venable in the second. Thought he had strike 3, which would have ended the inning, but Venable in the next pitch doubled, and the Rangers got a run. They've added another here. That sails outside. 3-1 now on Beltre.
He's missed a lot of pitches away from these hitters.
Moreland on deck. Here's the 3-1. Bouncer to second base. Routine for Kinsler. That'll end the inning. Rangers get another run on 1 hit. We'll go to the bottom of the third at Comerica. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Tweet a photo, huh?
Tweet a photo, and if we select it, you'll see yourself on TV. Pretty cool. Here is Alex Avila to start things off. Bottom 3 for the Tigers: Avila, Iglesias, and Gose. So far, Colby Lewis 6 up, 6 down.
Yeah, he's been dealing. Normally a guy who has a high pitch count, but not the case tonight. 24 pitches, 16 strikes. Alex has not been behind the plate in some time.
Here's the 0-1. Avila had his role expanded a little bit with the injury to Miguel Cabrera. He made 10 starts this year at first base.
Yeah, Seth Miggy's been back, though, not playing much.
He'll shoot one away from the shortstop. Andrews, a base hit against the shift. Leadoff single.
Texas playing Alex up the middle over towards second base. Goes with the pitch. Just out of the reach. Ball stayed down perfectly. Leadoff single.
Alex has got one of those statistics that just got to make you wonder. He's got 28 walks and 25 hits. So more base on balls than hits this year for Avila. He's gotten himself on here in the third, and Iglesias looks at a strike.
Yeah, Alex has battled that grumpy knee. Hard to hit when your knee's sore. So they've put him on the DL, and now they haven't played him as much and stayed on top of it.
It'll bounce in. Nice block by Wilson.
It's a tough block right there. He threw that right into the ground. Keeps Avila at first base.
Iglesias was hitless last night. He was 0 for 4, and we really haven't said that much this year. His average has been over 300 most of the season. Now the 1-1. Check to swing, and he rolls it foul. Hey, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Reaching out, he pokes it toward first. They'll have only one play. Iglesias tagged out, advance the runner to second. One out. Well, the Tigers play the Texas Rangers Sunday at 1:08 p.m., which means it's Sunday Kids Day, and all kids 14 and under receive a free set of strikeout bullying dog tags. Call 866-66-TIGER, or if you'd like, visit tigers.com. Get your tickets now. Here's Anthony Gose.
Tigers now with an opportunity to get a run right here. First, got the runner in scoring position. Only one out. Tigers have been pretty good as a team. 299 with runners in scoring position as a team. That's very good.
Beltre came charging in on the show of bunt. 299, man. That's a ball club. Really good, isn't it?
I'm not sure. That may be first. And then look it up. It's got to be up there. If you ever want to get a hit, this is the time.
Again, he squares, and he's saying it hit him. And now finally, home plate umpire Brian Knight says, take your base.
Either that or it's a good sell, but he looks like it got it pretty good, huh?
Well, he didn't call it initially. And then Ghost went down, then all of a sudden he called a hit batter. And that's probably what Jeff Bannister is arguing here.
Well, he's just going to wait. They can look at this one on tape, but it's a reviewable call. If he bunted at it, didn't look like it hit his foot to me.
Oh, is that what you think they're looking at right now, whether or not he bunted?
Yes. No, well, I think they're looking to see if it hit him. Oh, it hit him for sure.
No doubt.
And he didn't bunt. He was pulling it back. So we'll have runners on first and second. One down.
This is the first time that that Ghost has been hit by a pitch this year.
His foot initially was close to out of the box. Now, the ball hits you and you're out of the box, you're out. But he got it back in there. The guy's bunt, you'll see many times the foot looks like it's out of the box, but the whole foot has to be out of the box. Any part touching the line is considered in the box.
So the Tigers now have the tying runs on. With one out, here is Kinsler. Ian grounded out his first time up. And he drives one to left field on a line. It's going to drop, base hit. Avila coming to third. They're going to stop in there. And the bases are loaded. Omar Vizquel filling into third tonight in the coaching box, stopping Avila.
Well, Alex had to wait because it looked like Venable might get to it. So he's got to take his time, freeze on it. see Kinsler, who's been hitting the ball for the whole second half.
Lewis hung that one.
You'll see Avila's got to hold up, and he's had the bad knee. And it's Omar's first day on third base, isn't it?
It is.
So that's a tough play. Still have bases loaded, one down, in good shape with Tyler Collins up.
Collins takes ball one. He flied to left field his first time up. Avila, Gose, and Kinsler on the bases, trying to get Verlander some offensive support here. In there, a strike called, 1-1.
Well, that's a tough call right there. I keep thinking back to Justin Verlander and the call he did not get. I mean, Fox track shows that it is off the plate. But Brian Knight says it's a strike, and it's a strike.
1-2. Collins has a 6-game hitting streak. Nice spot to extend it here. With Gose's speed at second base, a base hit might tie this game. Ground ball slowly back up the middle. Could be two. There's one. There's two. A double play gets Lewis out of a big time jam. 6-3 in the twin killing. Tigers fail to score. 3 in the books here at Comerica.
Looks like the Tigers are going to shift him. Of course, they've got data that suggests that that's the right thing to do.
Castellanos heads to the right side, playing in short right field, which leaves Iglesias to the left side.
Yeah, Iglesias looking for the bunt. Orioles only bunted one time, I believe, against the shift. Take a look at the chart. Tigers have one here, 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 and over here. It's the chart from BIS Info Solutions right there, you see. There's various charts by different people, and you get the data, and that's why you've seen so many shifts these days. They don't lie. That's his last 120 line drives or ground balls. And of course, the shift data, for the most part, decreases the average. If you shift a guy, he hits for a lower average than if you don't shift him.
1 ball, 1 strike on Moreland. think the one time batter beats the shift, everybody says, oh, see, shifts never work. But all of the times that they bounce into a shift, you tend to forget about it. Playing the percentages. That sails high.
Well, we're going to look at it again. I mean, just look at the numbers. This is 120 balls in play by Mitch Moreland. And the overall average, 25 to 30 points lower average if you shift correctly, I might add.
Here's the 2-1. He'll get back out of play 2-2.
It looks like Moreland's not really trying to beat the shift. I think as a hitter, you got to make a choice. You want to stay with your strength because he's really trying to elevate the ball anyway. But if you do hit it on the ground, you're going to be out. And you see Castellanos so deep. Moreland does not run that quickly. He's not a slug, but he can still be deep and get him at first.
There's a ground ball right to Kinsler, who bobbles it, stays with it though, and throws him out. One gone.
And it worked that time.
I presume slugs are slow. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
He's not a slug.
What do you want me to say?
He's not slow. It's just more colorful the way you did it.
Well, it's kind of a little locker room slang. You know?
I know.
That's not anything derogatory. Would they call that the PC police?
That's right. Well, you said he's
Andy?
not a slug, so. Here's Andrews. Castellanos in tight at the grass at third against Elvis. Strike one. Singled and scored a run in the second. Andrews, the fine defensive shortstop, although he has 19 errors this year. He could play that position. The 0-1 pitch. Bender low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Would be good if JB could get out of this inning quickly. His pitch count at 62 already here in the top of the fourth. No, he wants to go deep into this game.
2-1. Andrews in 2009 finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Andrew Bailey of the A's, a pitcher for the A's, won the Rookie of the Year that year. Andrews has stolen a lot of bases in his career. Here's the 2-1. Big swing there.
You got some favorites for this year? James McCann in the conversation?
I do. I think because of all the hype surrounding Carlos Correa and the start he's gotten off to, I think it's probably his to lose. Billy Burns out in Oakland's having a nice season. Their center fielder. McCann definitely gets votes. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Andrews out of there. 5 strikeouts for JV. Hey, tomorrow Major League Baseball returns to Fox Sports 1 with another doubleheader as the Giants look to improve their playoff chances. They'll take on the wild card leading Pirates. And then the Rangers take on your Tigers. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Also streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Well, we talked about the slider early. This is pretty good right there. There's a grip. He gets Andrus, who got him the first at bat.
Rougned Odor with 2 outs. Strike 1.
Well, breaking ball dropped in there for strike 1.
Are you going Correa right now for Rookie of the Year? What are your feelings?
Well, I think we'll wait and see. Of course, you're always going to be a homer, and I like McCann. But to be objective, we'll wait and see how it plays out. But Correa would be a great choice.
You know, we get to see McCann play day in and day out, and you just appreciate his skill, his leadership.
Well, don't just look at what somebody does with the stick, you know.
Agreed. 2-1. 2 runs, 3 hits, Texas. No runs, 2 hits for the Tigers. Odor slices it back out of play. 2-2.
He takes a hack.
Lindor has a little bit of power. He's not a very big guy, but he's got 9 home runs this year. He's knocked in 40.
Pretty even against lefties and righties as well.
Popped him up. Middle of the infield. 3 Tigers converge, and it's Kinsler to take charge. In a 1-2-3 inning for Justin Verlander. Heart of the order coming up for the Tigers in the 4th. Cabrera, Martinez, and Martinez.
Well, 2-0. Miguel Cabrera, after coming off the DL, 7 games. Did the Tigers miss him? 10 for 23, a home run and 5 RBI.
Cabrera flat out to right field in his first at bat. He'll be followed by Victor and then JD Martinez.
Yeah, on the first pitch. He doesn't do that very often, especially his first time up with nobody on.
It'll drop in there for a strike. 1-1.
I think obviously he has good mechanics, and he's got great hands, and his setup is good. And he must have a great ability with his eyes too. You wonder how much that has to do with how guys hit.
He'll drop one down in the gap in left center field. Cabrera takes the turn. He's going to go to second, and the throw is not in time. Double for Cabrera.
Laced this, and he had the calf injury. It's a great play to go, but I have up here hold my breath because we don't want to lose him. Trying to get it in, leaves it out over the plate a bit. He's just all over it, and he's just got those nice long strides going. Outside foot, shortest distance to the base, just gets in ahead of the tag. Always having fun too. Got to have a conversation out there, doesn't he?
Always. It's part of his game. Lewis able to slither out of a jam last inning. He's got another jam going here, and a strike called on Victor.
Well, Victor's got great numbers against Kobe Lewis. Good opportunity for the Tigers.
Flat out to center field in his first at bat. 7 RBIs in his last 6 games. See if he can deliver here against Lewis. Bounce again. 1 ball, 1 strike. And now Wilson goes out to have a chat with Lewis. Colby is a former Tiger, although he didn't spend much time in the Tigers system. They claimed him off the waiver wire from the Rangers in 04, but then he had shoulder surgery the next year. He never really pitched much above AAA in the Tiger system.
Yeah, Tigers got him and hoping that he would come back earlier, and it didn't work out.
Outside, 2 balls, 1 strike on Martinez. Tigers trying to inch closer to 500. They come in 51 and 59 rather, and 61, just 2 games under 500. Courtesy of their 3-game win streak. High towering drive, deep right center field. DeShields on the run. He looks up and makes the catch up against the wall. He hammered that ball, but to one of the deepest parts of the yard.
Yeah, didn't get the head out quite enough. It's a long way out there. The ball did not carry out. DeShields got underneath it. That's hard spot as a player to run into it as well. Hit right off his little finger and went into his glove.
That is such an unfair part of this game when you hit a ball that hard.
Yeah, well, that's part of this park that pitchers, if you can pitch to it, it's to your advantage. And Colby Lewis, though he gave up a deep fly ball, the park held it in.
Ball 1 to J.D. Martinez.
It's hard to be a hitter and not be satisfied with that approach and the way you hit the ball, but the result always wins out in disappointment.
I guess sometimes you can't control the result, but you can control the approach.
And that was a great approach.
Here's the 1-0. There's a strike. 1-1 on J.D.
Is it just me, or every time do I see one that's a little off the plate it bugs me? I think that pitch was just off a little bit.
Not just you. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Good sequence right there. Lewis, the previous pitch, goes a little off the plate on the corner and throws the slider off to the same spot, same release. Gets JD to swing through it.
Fly ball. Right field. This will be playable for Shin-Soo Choo. Miggy tags but has to hold. And so now 2 gone with the runner at second. There's Castellanos. Nick fly to center field, 0 for 1. Lewis has certainly pitched to this ballpark. He's got a lot of fly ball outs in this game.
And he's made some good pitches. I mean, that pitch right there to JD, that's a quality pitch. You have to swing at it. He's reaching out. He's taking enough speed off it. Had him out in the front foot a little bit. But the Tigers, you got to hang in there, keep the score close, wait for your opportunities, and we got one right here to pick up 1 run with Miggy on second.
0-1. Castellanos with 9 RBIs in his last 3 games.
Colby Lewis, I think, has averaged almost 7 innings per start over his last 7 games. So, I mean, he's been throwing the ball good. He's formidable. It's going to be a challenge for the Tigers to get to him.
Doesn't walk too many guys either. There's the line drive into left field, base hit. They're going to try and score him. Here comes the throw to the plate, and the tag. He is saved at home plate. Oh, Miggy with a slide to beat the tag. And the Rangers are going to want to look at it. It certainly seemed like the ball beat him there, but the tag or the slide may have gotten him in.
Yeah, you're going to get a review here probably.
And so the Rangers will call for the review. I got to be honest, I didn't think it'd be even that close. How about it be out by a good portion?
Well, I think the ball bounced a couple times by Venable. And it slows down every time it bounces. We're going to take a look here. Can't really tell from that angle. Where I was, it looked like he might have snuck in, but that's pretty close.
Really close.
I mean, in one aspect, it looks like he could be out. In another, I mean, it's not obviously out. See where the umpire's view is? The foot looks like it's on the plate about the same time. Texas thinks is great. They're coming off the field.
The Rangers are running off the field right now. I don't know if this is definitive enough to call him out. Oh, well, right there maybe.
Doesn't look good.
No. I think they may call him out. We'll see, though.
Well, usually, what is it, the average? About 40 seconds, 45 seconds? We got to be beyond that. I got a stopwatch up here. I guess I should start keeping track. Huh?
You should. What'd you bring it for?
To time pitchers.
Here's yet another look.
I mean, it looks like he's right on the plate right there.
I think he got his foot. But they're taking a good long look at it. And now here comes the decision. Out at home plate. So Castellanos will get a hit. Miggy is thrown out. 7-2 on that play to end the inning, and the Tigers will fail to score. So we'll go to the 5th inning. It's still 2-0 Rangers. Major League Baseball used to call him out.
And you can see the glove is on the foot right here before it touches the plate. And unfortunately, Tigers have a leadoff double. Don't get him in.
So Lewis able to wiggle out of a couple of jams. They had the bases loaded with one out in the 3rd and got a double play ball. And then that play last inning. Will Venable leads it off as we go to the 5th. Venable this year became the 54th player used by the Rangers, which is the most in the American League.
You start with 25, right?
You do. There's the strike. 1-1.
So if you're a guy that has a dream to play baseball, you're in the minor leagues, or you want to get drafted someday, don't get frustrated, because you could be in the big leagues soon. Going deep into the system.
The 25 you start with on opening day is never the 25 you finish with on the last day of the season.
Well, you wished you could, but
yeah,
you have injuries, and performance doesn't meet expectations. So continue to look for the right combination, looking for the right type of team. Good team to manage, has the ability to score runs, stop runs, pitch, catch.
Ball high, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The JV is his 2 at-bats against Venable has really tried to throw him at the top of the zone. Venable looks like he's going to bite, but he has not.
Wilson on deck. 8, 9, and 1 hitters here in the 5th for Texas. Here's the 2-2. Yep, looked like he was going to bite again, but didn't. 3-2.
Bet you he's thrown in 2 at-bats, 5 or 6 pitches up there.
.75 now for JV overall. Swing and a miss.
Stayed with the approach with batting.
6 strikeouts now for Verlander.
Well, we were talking about it. Been throwing him up top a lot. It's right at the top. He's got an explosive fastball up there tonight. 93 miles an hour, right at the top of the quadrant. Down he goes.
Mentioned the JV, 7 strikeouts in each of his last 2 starts. His season high is 10. That was that game that he hooked up with against Archer in Tampa. It's an outstanding ball game. Here's a strike call.
He's done this a couple times too. Started hitters off that big curveball, strike curveball.
Floated back out of play, 0-2. Verlander came in a very hot pitcher in his last 5 starts, entering tonight's game a 1.75 ERA. They've gotten a couple of runs against him tonight, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. And the 0-2. Outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, JV's really been mixing it up tonight. 51% fastballs, 49% off speed. So really mixing it up. That's a little unusual, but it's what's working so far.
The Shields waiting on deck. Here's the 1-2. 2-2. Justin struck out Bobby Wilson in his first at bat. Wilson's first 5 years in the big leagues with the Angels. Here's the 2-2. And he laid off 3-2.
A lot of early counts where he's ahead that goes to even. Unable to make that pitch where he wants to, put him away. Got to do it here though. 3-2 count.
Fouled away. Wilson began the year with the Rays and then was designated for assignment in June. He was claimed by Texas.
Yeah, I had to send Bobby down one time out of spring training. It's such a good kid. One of the jobs as a manager you don't really enjoy. Got to tell a guy he's not going to be in the big leagues, but he's back.
Fouled straight back.
That was close.
I mean, you had a bullseye on your head with that one.
Why does it got to be on my head?
Okay, your chest. I noticed he didn't flinch either.
No, I had that one all the way.
Now again, the 3-2. Boy, Wilson putting together a good at bat here against Verlander.
Shouldn't we? He is. Shouldn't we have some type of wager that we make a charitable contribution if somebody drops a ball up here?
No, I'd rather just give the money to charity because I know I'd drop it.
Well, I think I'd catch it.
Well, you probably would. I mean, you played in the big leagues for what, 1,000 years?
But hands were not my strength.
Very true. Hey, you brought it up, not me. Here's a pop-up. See if it stays in play. And Avila makes the catch. Like the at-bat, finally Verlander gets it.
Here's our high-speed pitch brought to you by Xfinity. 95 for the high on the fastball. 76 is probably the curve. JV. 19 mile an hour right there. Speed differential between the slowest and the fastest. Some quick math.
Wilson battled him for 8 pitches before he was finally retired. Now Delino to Shields. One single got it started back in the 3rd. He scored a run, and he looks at a strike 0-1. That was his 10th bunt hit of the season. Shields, a former first-round pick of the Houston Astros. Big swing there, 0-2.
Like a good change up there. Right on right change. Got a great grip here. You see how he throws it right there? And watch him turn the hand over and all that movement.
Now the 0-2.
Tried to go to that well again. Shields not biting on that. There you go, something hard here on the hands.
Has this changed over the years where right-handers really weren't too crazy about throwing the changeup to righties?
Well, righty, a lot of times no righty on righty or lefty on lefty, but I think that that was, I'm not sure why that was the case, but I think pitchers will throw any pitch at any time nowadays.
Checked it. Don't believe he went. He did not. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Delino to Shields.
I think he's set up for an inside heater right here. 2 changeups. Slider away. Here you got it.
Got him. Strike 3 to Shields. Caught looking. And he's going to beat now Brian Knight. That is 7 strikeouts for Justin Verlander. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. Brought to you by the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, official legal services of Fox Sports Detroit. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Meijer, save big with M-Perks from Meijer. Sign up at mperks.com. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Back here at Comerica Park, as Alex Avila leads it off. And for the Tigers, it'll be Avila. Iglesias goes. In the bottom of the 5th inning, 2-0. Rangers have the lead in Game 2 in this series. Here's the 0-1. 0-2 now on Avila.
Well, this is a very important series. Texas ahead of us in the wild card chase. Won last night. You definitely got to win the series. You want to pick up a game. So win tonight, you ensure yourself at least a split. And you can go after the win.
Went around, strike 3.
Nasty slider under the hands right there.
Only the first strikeout for Colby Lewis. Here is Iglesias. Rolled out 3 unassisted.
Lewis threw him down the way. Sliders down the way his last at bat. Got a layoff. See, he starts off with that fastball, runs it back over the outside corner. Now he probably goes to his slider. Tries to get Iglesias to chase. There it is.
And it's 0-2.
The first one stayed straight. Second pitch got the wrinkle in it.
Chop to the left side. Beltre digs it out. Double pops, and it's going to cost him. Iglesias safe at first.
Good hustle. Gets out of the box very well. Beats that out. See, he's kind of extended, so he gets out, and you can look right there. Beltre doesn't come up for him, so he's got to remain down low. Iglesias beats it out. Pretty quick time down there. Down there is safe easily.
When Iglesias is smelling hit down the infield, man, he puts on the afterburner.
I don't know if you noticed that. He runs in the inside of the line. He got called out about a week ago, right, for running inside the line?
He did, correct.
A lot of right-handed batters will do that when they come out of the box like that because he was way out front of the pitch. He just naturally is going to take you on the grass. But it does make you run further.
Back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ghost. Tigers now have 5 hits. Ghost was hit by a pitch. It was that 3rd inning in which the Tigers loaded the bases with 1 out, but Collins bounced into a 6-3 double play.
Tigers had good opportunities in the 3rd and the 4th. No runs out of it though.
Yeah, leadoff double in the 4th inning. Strike called 1-2.
Colby Lewis about a 1 second right there. That's lightning fast. Slide step changeup. That's the kind of things that crafty old veterans will do to you. It really messes with the hitter's timing right there.
Missed with it.
Okay, you see Lewis has 60 pitches so far. 41 of them strikes.
By the way, they did not rule that a base hit for Iglesias E5. So take a hit away from Jose. Here's a 2-2 swing and a miss. Felt tipped it into the glove for strike 3. That'll be the 2nd punch out of the inning. Hey, see the Tigers take on the Los Angeles Angels August 25th through the 27th. Get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 bags of chips, 4 drinks, all for just $19 per person. It's the Tigers weekday value pack. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com.
Colby Lewis, his mix is 38% fastball, 62% off speed. So if you're the Tigers, you got to make an adjustment. You got to stay back and anticipate.
Colby Lewis has needed some perseverance as well in his career. He missed nearly 2 years after major hip surgery and elbow surgery. Bounced back last year to win 10 games.
It's amazing how they can get you back on the diamond with the surgeries nowadays.
High fly ball to center field. To Shields will make the play to end the inning. 5 in the books here at Comerica Park. Still 2-0 Texas.
Verlander starting to throw the slider a lot more recently and has been very successful doing it. Backdoor to the lefty. Running off the place for Chase to the righty. Been very good tonight for him. His career high 16.6% slider usage this year for Justin Verlander, and you can see the opponent's only hitting .213 off of it.
Well, JV goes to work now, and he's going to face the number 2 hitter, Shin-Soo Choo, to lead it off. 2-0 Rangers have the lead. And Choo takes strike one. Verlander hit a 1-2-3 fifth inning, but he threw 20 pitches.
Yeah, he's getting up there, 91 total already.
Choo struck out and a walk. Fouled away 0-2.
JV's always been able to stick in there, though. He's had high pitch counts his whole career. He's kind of special in that respect. Many pitchers get to 100 pitches and they're looking for the bullpen. This is not the case with Justin Verlander.
Here's the 0-2. Verlander this year has gone as high as 116, make it 117. That was his high against the Yankees earlier this year.
Yeah, he's not even thinking about his pitch count right now. I mean, just think what he's thinking about. He throws the pitch, it's a ball, it's 1 ball, 2 strike. Just think of the mindset. Now it's 2-2. What do you think he's thinking right now? You think he knows 2 pitches away or 1 pitch away? I think he's got an idea what he wants to do.
Prince Fielder on deck. Here's the 2-2 offering. I don't believe he went. Oh, he did. Strike 3 call. Choo can't believe it.
Ron Culpa said he did. Again, elevating with 2 strikes. Just got shooed away, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Choo got shooed.
Oh, he didn't go there. Like he held up, didn't it?
Well, everybody has a different view from the field. So, I mean, if you went out and stood around that mound, and I heard Tim Flannery tell this story the other day. Everybody stood around the mound there, and he put his hat there. Would you all see the same thing?
No.
I might see the D on the Detroit Tiger hat. You might be at the back. You might see the Major League logo on the back of the hat, right? So
right.
When you're an umpire, I mean, we're watching it on TV too, right?
No doubt.
So it's a little quicker, and that's one of the beautiful things. Now they have instituted replay to try and make it so we all see the hat equal, but it doesn't happen all the time.
The 1-0 to Fielder. Strike call.
Did you get that analogy or not?
I did. I got it. And the one thing that impressed me was saying that Choo got Choo. That was pretty good.
I didn't mean to. You're pretty spirited tonight. You must have got a good night's rest after that 3-hour rest the night before.
Yeah. Here's the 1-1. Let's foul back out of play, 1-2.
I still have a bone to pick with you, by the way.
Why?
Well, when I was a player, I never went in another man's locker.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. My scorebook.
Hey, your scorebook was sitting on the shelf last night, right here on this table. I just happened to take a shot of it.
But it didn't say, look at me. So you tweeted it. I can't even believe it.
There's a swing and a foul by Fielder. Well, you told me that you indicate ground ball outs with a C, which I'm still trying to figure out.
You were just like a little kid. You had to see it for yourself. You just couldn't trust me.
No, I couldn't. So I just snapped a photo of your scorebook.
And tweeted it. That's unreal. Lucky you didn't put my license on there.
Oh, like you're really upset.
That's a good one.
Here's the 1-2. It is 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That was a good one.
Yeah, there's 100 down for Verlander. But people still want an explanation of what C has to do with the ground out.
It's a very basic figure And it means it's a grounder. I don't have to make two. Yeah, that's a C right there. That's C. Is that C6?
It's C5.
But see, I don't put the 5. I just put it at 5.
Seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to know where it was hit.
If you think about it, I is an easier letter to write than C. So why don't you just use I for ground out?
C is more distinctive. I can look like a 1, and that's what I do on a base hit. Gotcha.
You got an answer for everything.
Well, I try. I mean, it's not like I'm just guessing on what I'm doing. I thought it out a little bit. And when you're writing it on a scorecard, that's when it really makes sense. I'll bring a scorecard in and show you. Maybe you'll get off my back.
Here's a high, towering fly ball to center field.
See, wasn't that fun? We had a little conversation. 3 outs. Tigers to bat.
That's an F8.
That's wonderful.
Here is Tyler Collins to lead it off for the Tigers here in the 6th inning. Collins, Cabrera, Victor Martinez facing Colby Lewis. First one is foul back out of play, 0-1.
It'd be nice to get leadoff runner on right here with the beat of the order coming up. Cabrera, like you said. V. Mart, JD.
This is it.
Yep.
The inning right here. 0 for 2 for Tyler Collins. Fouled off, 0-2. Collins hit into a double play with the bases loaded in the 3rd, which short-circuited a Tigers opportunity. Now the 0-2. Drilled to right field on a line. It's going to be caught on a slide out there in right field by Chu. Time for a game break now. We check in with Justin White. All right, Justin, thank you very much. Here it is 2-0, and Colby Lewis has done this kind of work here tonight, 5 1/3.
Yeah, cruising along, only 4 hits, a couple strikeouts, keeping the Tigers off balance out front.
Cabrera looks at a strike. He doubled in his last at bat, 1 for 2. Lewis working quickly, and a strike called, 0-2.
Yeah, he's feeling it. He's attacking the zone, getting ahead in the count early on. Getting that fastball for a strike early, then going to his off speed.
Fish weren't biting there. 1-2 on Cabrera. Texas starting pitching has not allowed more than 3 runs in 7 straight starts, 3 or fewer in 7 in a row. And Lewis has not allowed a run to this point tonight. Drilled again to right center field. That's going to find a gap. It's down. It's going to go to the wall. Cabrera heading to second base, and he's got himself his second double of the night. Well, college football returns to Fox and Fox Sports 1 beginning Thursday, September 3rd, when former Michigan quarterback Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as head coach at his alma mater and leads the Wolverines against the Utah Utes. The only place you can see it is on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
He's been active this offseason, hasn't he?
Sure has.
He's been everywhere. This guy's been everywhere tonight. Miguel Cabrera with his second double of the evening. Hammered it.
Last time Lewis was in this situation, Victor Martinez hit a ball to the warning track in right center, right in front of the wall. He fouls it back 0-1.
Yeah, he tried to come in on him previous at bat. Almost got him out of the stadium, but ball was caught. So he might stay away a little more this at bat, Lewis.
That last at bat by Cabrera. Lewis got ahead 0-2. Threw him a breaking ball that Cabrera would not go after. And then he bangs a double to right center. It's like he never missed any time at all. That is ripped down the right field line. Foul.
Yeah, with Miggy up, you want to have somebody on base in front of him because he's going to do some damage. There's the first one right down the middle. I mean, that's a 2-strike pitch right there. Just so compact with the swing. He just goes right straight to the ball. Good length on it. Talking about his eyes, I think he's got very good eyes, and he sees the ball very good. He just can play that relaxed and have fun out there. I was just the opposite. I was tightly wound, and I was at second base. I wouldn't talk to the second baseman. Miggy talks to everybody.
He sure does. I can't imagine you talking to the first baseman either.
Nobody.
No.
But the game is a little different there. But you know, he does it. He plays hard every day. Great leadership.
The 1-2 rolled foul. Tigers in need of a big hit here. We're in the 6th, down 2-0. Victor has put the ball in the air twice to center field in this game.
Just thinking about Miggy out there and Victor, veteran guys, and it's a good time. Colby Lewis would probably have a pretty difficult signs to pick up from the catcher. Many times veteran guys on second base try and relay the signs into the hitter. I don't think they're doing it, but it's just the way I think it.
Lewis has lived in the air tonight, 8 fly ball outs.
And Cabrera was complaining about Lewis rushing him at the plate. Victor just stepped out there as well. A little gamesmanship.
Again, Wilson down to block at 2-2.
Looks like Victor's seeing the slider down and in much better.
J.D. Martinez waiting on deck.
I think that Miggy's talking to Omar. Right now, Elvis. Like to see Colby Lewis hang a slider right here.
Line drive caught right into the shift. They might get a double play, and they will. How about that? A double play on a line drive to short right based on the shift. And Miggy is doubled up.
Yeah, you can't get double off there. You got to know where they're at.
So the inning is over, and the Tigers will get a double, but fail to score. Hold on, we're gonna challenge this. Hold everything here. Yep, looks like Brad wants to challenge it. That throw got back there in plenty of time, but it was off the bag.
That would be a break if it happens. We'll get it here in a sec.
What do we have in the replay?
Yeah, initially you think that that's going to be a base hit. Oh, he's in there.
The question was, he's clearly beat that. Was
the first time around?
Yeah, right here. Oh, he wasn't even on the bag.
Nope.
Yep, he wasn't.
Nope, he wasn't. Yep, he wasn't. No, he just wasn't. We're going to win that one.
A great opportunity for the Rangers to turn a double play, but the throw by the second baseman was off target.
Adam Heyman down there. Amari, new guy. I haven't done battle with him yet.
Hammery, yeah.
Knew you'd have it.
We had to ask him on the pronunciation earlier this year. Hammery, he said.
You usually give me the class before we go on the air. You just omitted that.
Yeah, I dropped
Other
the ball.
setup. Yeah, no, you didn't. You did it on purpose. It's okay. It's my responsibility.
Another setup.
No, you're looking to see if he dragged the foot. I mean, I see daylight there. He wouldn't reach back if he thought he got it. He wouldn't go back if he thought he got it.
Right.
So you know he didn't get it, and he looks like he beats him back. Gosh, that strains that calf right there.
I think the Tigers win this one.
I do too. Another long one, though.
It is.
I didn't get my clock going. Tell you, a lot more plays being challenged, it seems like, this year. We're going to have to get the numbers on that.
I agree.
You're taking it. Doesn't look like he gets it here. He definitely goes back. The foot looks like it beats the glove to the bag.
Well, the longer you go here, the more uneasy the feeling is, because it seems to indicate they're having trouble finding a definitive look.
Yeah, if we lose this one, then that's really going to be, I mean, definitely beat it. But remember the old hat analogy I just gave you. You never know. Different people see that's, you got daylight. Stop that right there. I mean, you're looking right down here at the foot. Doesn't it look like there's daylight?
Well, yes, and the point you made earlier, I think, is a valid one. He wouldn't be reaching back here if he thought he hit the bag.
I think he got back there. He had a long reach right there.
Boy, they are still looking at this.
Seems pretty obvious to us, doesn't it?
It does, but again, we don't know the views they're getting in New York and what exactly they're looking at.
Don't they get the same ones we do in more?
They do, but I think they want something definitive. They also could be getting things from the Texas broadcast as well. Some replays.
They do, and I think MLB has several cameras in all stadiums.
We have to be over 4 minutes here, I think. It's one of the longer ones we've had all year.
Yes, it is.
Colby Lewis, in fact, it's going so long, is back out there warming up.
I'm sure many of our viewers have left their seat and gotten back already. Feel much better.
Made a sandwich.
Not as thirsty.
Better.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, we continue to wait.
We just wonder what the umpires are thinking about in New York. They've got probably dissenting views, huh? I don't know how many are viewing this. I do know there's one guy, the supervisor. Yes, definitely on that. I hope they have that view.
So the wait continues.
Yeah, I know that when they first started doing replay, that the people from MLB would wait for the slow-mo because they don't have slow-mos.
Oh, they called him out. Well, the longer it went, just the more uneasy you felt about it. They just didn't have a definitive look, apparently, and that look by Cabrera says it all.
Yeah, and Brad's coming out. You usually get thrown out if you argue it. And again, the umpires they're going to throw him out. He says one more word. There you go.
He's gone.
You can't dispute the call.
Well, let me ask you this. You can ask for a clarification on a call, can't you?
I think he got that. And after you do that, you got to go. I got it that way a few times. But again, Ron Koppel right here, he has nothing to do with the call.
Yep, that's good.
They don't ask him, what do you see? What did you see? It's just you tell him what the challenge is about. And it happens from time to time. So obviously they must not have had the view.
4 minutes, 57 seconds for that review, just under 5 minutes. So Brad's been tossed out. Still 2-0 Texas. Mitch Moreland leads it off as we go to the 7th inning. It is still a 2-0 score. The Rangers have the lead. The Tigers on the unfortunate end of a disputed play in the 6th inning, which has resulted in the ejection of Brad Ausmus, the Tigers skipper.
I think Brad was pretty sure we seemed to have a definitive view, and he didn't like the call, so he's gone.
Moreland swings right through it, 1-1. Ground out strikeout for Moreland. He bounced into the shift his last time up. The Tigers play him to pull. 289 batting average for Mitch Moreland. The 1-1. Bouncing ball again into the shift. Right at Castellanos. That is a 5-3 ground out in your scorebook.
C5.
Or C5 if you're Kirk Gibson. Here is some action in the Tigers pen. It's Gorzalani, the lefty, Albuquerque, the righty. Verlander's pitch count was over 100 in the 6th inning. He's at 105 right now. And Gene Lamont has taken over, with Brad being ejected from this game. Here's Elvis Andrus.
Is that James McCann talking to him?
Sure was. And still is. There's a ball outside, 1-0.
Yeah, he's not going to relax. He's going to try and learn something. And talking about signs maybe right there. The signs come out to the catcher from the bench. Maybe Gene's are a little different than Brad's.
And that's in for a strike, 1-1. Verlander allowed a run on an RBI double in the 2nd, and then also a sac fly in the 3rd.
I'm sure they're going to try and get him through this inning.
pulled fair inside the bag at third base. Extra bases. Andrews on his way to second, and he will pull in with a 1-out double. His second hit of the ninth.
Elvis scored one of the runs earlier in the game in the second inning. Gets another hit right here. However, there is 1 out. Got to try and get out with no more harm. He normally does not pull the ball that much. Usually goes a lot the other way. So the Tigers were well off the line.
That is only the 4th hit of the night for Texas. Here's Rougned Odor. Odor is 0 for 2.
Young kid, he's going to be very aggressive. Yeah, he did. Oh.
Not according to Ron Culp. Odor for his career, which albeit is a very young one still, 8 for 17 lifetime in this ballpark.
He likes it here in America, huh?
Feels nice and comfy. The 1-0. Drill to right field, hit hard but straight at JD. Runner will tag. Going to try and get to third. The throw. Out at third base. Oh, what a throw by JD Martinez. We'll see if they want to look at it. Nope, Tigers are coming off the field. Another assist for JD, who rifles the runner out at third base. Coming up, the 7th inning stretch brought to you by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Brings you the high strength steal, and JD Martinez shows off his arm strength right here. This is a great play. Bullet right to him. Bullet right to third base. Ends the inning. Nice double play. He just gets on top of this. This just shows you his arm strength. One hopper right there. Good tag.
14 assists now for JD Martinez.
He almost had one last night.
Yeah, he did. You're right.
Leads the American League.
Javi Garcia with 13 right behind him.
That's a big outfield out there in right field. That's impressive.
Here's the 0-2.
I think I'd like to know how many of them are on relays as well, because that's so important that you get to the ball, make sure you don't drop it, make an accurate throw to your relay guy. And Iglesias and Kinsler both throw very well into the play from the relay.
Thought about it, did not go. 2-2 on Martinez. Tigers have out hit the Rangers 5-4 tonight, but trail 2-0.
How many times have you seen a guy make a great play and lead off the inning?
Happens a bunch. Lewis at only 80 pitches. Here's the 2-2. We'll get foul back out of play. Lewis has been the recipient of a lot of run support this year. Tonight he's gotten only 2 runs, but he's made it stick to this point.
Well, JB had a couple of games where he probably could have got a win, but has not.
Low and away, 3-2.
I think somebody's trying to stay in the game.
Back up the middle into center, base hit. Leadoff man on. Third time the Tigers have done that tonight.
Well, I think Colby Lewis should be happy that this one stayed in the ballpark. Was this to the hanger right here? JD pounds it up the middle of the diamond. Good 2-strike approach. Leadoff man on.
Here's Castellanos. Had a single back in the 4th inning. Looked like it might drive in a run, but Cabrera was thrown out at the plate. There's a strike in the outer edge, 0-1. Nick now has hit safely in 4 in a row. He's knocked in 9 in his last 3 games. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tigers get another guy on. I'd be interested to see how big of a leash Colby Lewis has.
Roll toward third, foul ball. 1-2 on Castellanos. Avila waiting on deck. Lewis gets about 7 runs per start. That's what they average for him.
It's a lot.
It's hard to lose games when you get 7 runs.
Good time for him to run into a Castellanos home run.
Pull to the shortstop.
Oh, look at that.
That's a 6-4. Yeah. Hit it hard, but right at him.
Tigers have hit several balls hard tonight that haven't worked out for him. This is a rocket, 1 hopper. Almost eats Andrus up, but easy double play. That's frustrating.
We'll bring up Avila. So the Tigers tonight have grounded into a couple of double plays. They've lined into a double play. They had a ball hit by Martinez that would have left a lot of ballparks. That was caught at the wall in right center in this game. Avila single and a strikeout. Here's the 0-1. Off the plate, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Kind of looking ahead here, we've got a couple guys up, Albuquerque and Corzolani. Brad is doing the same in his little sheet he's got. I'm sorry, Gene Lamont will be doing that now. Brad's probably in his office or hiding in the tunnel.
No, really?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to ask him what he does. See Gino grinding on the card right there.
Here's the 3-1. And he walked him, so Avila does that so well, gets another base on balls. 2-out runner. Hey, bring a group of your colleagues to see the Tigers take advantage of the team building package. Game tickets, t-shirts, and food for only $34 per person. 4 games to choose from. Visit tigers.com/group for more information.
Again, on the Tiger side, you have Iglesias and then Ghost. Tigers only have 3, I believe, on the bench. Omai, Davis, McCann. Probably run it straight through, no pinch hitters.
Ball 1.
Tigers hitters are laying off the slider and running off the plate now. Know what to look for, making the adjustment.
He's thrown that pitch a lot to right-handed batters. Kalo warming up. That's in there, a strike.
Ooh, tough call there. Right at the bottom of the zone. Good pitch.
Reaching on an error in his last at bat, Iglesias, and a slow in roller on the infield. That one is just off the plate, so he continues to stay away. 2-1. He missed again. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, those sliders were on the corner a little bit earlier. Now they're missing more. Tiger hitters are laying off easily. Had some good counts, good plus counts for us. Fortunately, we got the double play, but the ball was struck properly.
Iglesias came into this game 3rd in the Tigers team with 116 hits. In the air, center field. Delino DeShields for the out to retire the side. No runs, a single, a walk, and 1 man left. To the 8th we go. He's been a big part of the story here tonight. So is JV.
Yes, the good pitchers do, but Kobe's on top right now. Tigers have hit many balls good, but have not taken advantage of some opportunities. 7 innings pitched for Kobe. JV retired 14 of the last 15. And Brad is watching the game on TV, it looks like.
So it's a wall-side windows pitching change. Tom Gorzelani will check in now for the Tigers.
37th appearance this year. 24 strikeouts and 18 walks. And I'm just kind of looking here. I mean, Will Venable is the lefty, and it'll be interesting to see how far that Gorzelani goes. I know in the bullpen we have Albuquerque, and I think Hardy's up as well. So could match our way up through this inning to try and keep the Rangers from scoring.
Venable is 1 for 2, doubled in a run way back in the second. Got the Rangers on the board initially. It slides in there for a strike. 0-1. Venable came over from the National League, the San Diego Padres, a couple of days ago for the Rangers.
And not a very good against left-handed pitchers as well.
1-1. Rangers have all right-handed batters on their bench: Alberto, Jimenez, Napoli, and Strasburger. Here's the 1-1. In there, a strike called. 1-2. Verlander goes 7 in this game through 110 pitches, but the Tigers gave him no support at least through the first 7.
Yeah, did a good job again.
Lifted in the air to center. Will chase Ghost back. Anthony under it. Venable is out. Well, as we promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Detroit Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Here comes Gino.
So Corsolani gets his job done, retiring the lefty.
Well, it's what you got to do here. You got to make sure you keep it at 2 runs. So it did the matchup. And now we'll go to the righty.
Ball side windows pitching change. We'll be back. This season on Big Al.
Yep, he's been in 50, this is 56 games. That's a lot of games. He's going to end up over 70 games again this year. ERAs at a respectable 3.04. Really tough on right. He's got a very good slider.
High fly ball down the left field line. That ball is hooking to the corner and off the sidewall. Collins got there but couldn't make the play.
That's tough play right there. You're running directly into the wall. You get around behind it, angle, it's a little easier, but he's got his glove out. He couldn't have caught that ball. Almost ricocheted, got him in the face.
One on Bobby Wilson.
Bobby Wilson tried to jump him right there.
Yeah, he sure did. Doesn't have a homer this year. Low and away, 1-1. Albuquerque last pitching in Chicago August 19th. A couple of days ago went 1 1/3.
Yeah, before that though he pitched frequently. I think it was like 4 or 5 days in a row. So he had a couple days off, feeling probably freshened up.
It'll bounce in 3-1.
I think he's one of those pitchers who pitches better when he pitches more frequently. Get a day off, takes you a little while to get your rhythm back.
The Shields waiting on deck. Rip foul. So as a manager, when you show up to the ballpark every day, you'll have, I assume, a chart with every bullpen pitcher, how many they've thrown recently, how many days they've worked,
how many times they've warmed up in the bullpen. Did they get hot? Was it a light toss? The matchups, who you would like to match them up against, who you want to stay away from.
Fouled away.
And sometimes you have a great matchup against an opponent, but you can't use them because the guy's throwing 3 out of 4 days, and one day was 30 pitches, and you got him up the day before, so you have to bite the bullet sometimes. Maybe fans don't understand that sometimes. Why isn't Hardy pitching? But that's the reason. You can't injure pitchers. You've got to. Health is number one. So the way you regulate all those things determines whether that pitcher can stay healthy or not. Very tiring on the arm, the shoulder, the elbow.
Sounded like a broken bat that time, heading back toward the seats, out of play. Well, that's one thing you don't consider as well, is not just the innings actually pitched in a game, but how many times they're up and warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, I know. I just wonder how many people that are watching right now have ever counted when they come to the stadium how many times they got up and give it any type of meaning that. If you see a guy get up 3 times in a game, he's probably not getting up the 4th. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to do it if you get into a 16, 17 inning game. The guy was up early 2-3 times, didn't use him. Now he's the last pitcher in the 18th inning. You really try and stay away from that.
Well, what an at bat there by the number 9 hitter Wilson. 9 pitch at bats. 1 on, 1 out. Tomorrow, Major League Baseball returns to Fox Sports 1. Another doubleheader. The Giants look to improve their playoff chances. They'll take on the wild card leading Pirates, followed by the Rangers and your Tigers. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live as well on Fox Sports Go. Here is the top of the lineup now. Delino to Shields.
Just wonder if the Texas would try something a little aggressive here.
Start the runner.
Well, if you got in a favorable count, it's 0-1 though. Bobby Wilson's not a fast runner, so you got to cover it, but you might want to try and get him into scoring position.
Off the end of the bat, 0-2 on DeShields.
Yeah, definitely not 0-2.
DeShields had a bunt single in the 3rd. It turned out to be a big play. He would advance to 3rd on a bad pickoff throw by Verlander, and then scored on a sacrifice fly. The 0-2. Shields back in 2010 was the 1st round pick of the Astros, but they were not able to protect him, so he was selected in the Rule 5 draft by Texas, and here he is in the big leagues.
Starting in the big leagues.
Way outside, it'll get away from Avila, and that'll advance the runner. Wilson gets himself in a scoring position.
I don't know how much of an opportunity Alex had to get this one here. Albuquerque just yanked it. It's a fastball. Missed his target by about 3 feet. Unfortunately, Wilson on to second.
Meanwhile, 1-2 on Delino to Shields. Chu is next. Then you get to the guts of the lineup, the meaty part of the lineup. They're 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Don't want to deal with that this inning. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. And Shields is disposed of.
Here comes the lefty.
Gino making his way out to the mound with Shin-Soo Choo due up.
Going to go to Blaine Hardy.
Here comes Blaine. So the Tigers will set up the lefty-lefty matchup here. Pitching change. We'll be back to Comerica. Well, it was a good night for JV. Unfortunately, the Tigers could not get him any runs. Now the Rangers trying to add on their lead late. They'll do it against Blaine Hardy, the lefty.
Yeah, first order of business. Blaine Hardy in his 55th game has come in here and get this last out against Choo.
0-1 on Shin-Soo Choo. He has struck out in his last 2 at-bats, a walk in his first at-bat.
Got to keep it at 2. Give himself a chance to come back. He gets a bloop and a blast away. Tie it up. Go on to win it in extras.
That'll drop in for a strike, 0-2.
Blaine Hardy's got a real good breaking ball. Really lost it a little bit here a couple weeks ago, but very sharp breaking. See it. He starts it at the shoulder many times to the left-handed hitter. It breaks well to the outside part of the plate.
Ooh, close. 1-2. Choo hits 188 against lefties.
Just missed. The box track says it didn't.
2-2 now on Shin-Soo Choo. Fielder on deck.
You like saying those three, the 3-worded name or not? That's.
Yeah. Well, when I see the 2 first names for the hyphenated first name, I feel obligated to use both of them.
Think you could say it 3 times real quick?
I'm not going to try. That could end badly.
Let's get him out here.
Roller foul down the first base line.
He's battling, that's for sure. Yeah, I think you talked about his 188 average against lefties. I think early in the season, not so good. I think he's been much better as of late. Natale Feliz warming up. He would be ready for Adrian Beltre.
Another lefty on deck, Fielder. He bats .260 versus lefties. Choo steps out. Only 4 hits tonight for the Rangers, but they lead 2-0. We're in the 8th. And the 2-2. Got him, strike 3. Shin Su's out of there. It's the third time he's struck out tonight. Hardy comes out to do the job.
Game. Justin Verlander's night tonight had it all working. All of his pitches, fastball running good, working at high and low, breaking pitches, both the curveball and the slider. Threw a little bit of defense in there as well. Now it's time to get him some runs and get him to spit that hook. Don't want him to get that loss with an effort like that. 110 pitches tonight.
Tigers will try and do just that as we go to the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Anthony Ghost leading it off. Ghost looks at a strike. New pitcher for the Rangers, Keone Kela.
Kind of a fastball, throws a lot of curveballs, so over 30%, and a change.
Ooh, back in the seats in a hurry. 0-2.
Got somebody.
You have very little reaction time if you sit row 1 behind the dugout. Sometimes, even if you are paying attention.
Well, many times you see people talking too. You know, you're going to talk, and when you're sitting in the Tigers dugout above it, there's a left-handed hitter up. You don't want to be talking.
You see the concern on the look on the face of Anthony Ghost. Well, follow the Tigers all season in 2015 with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. MLB.com at Bat on your smartphone or tablet.
Well, Kela throws really hard, at almost 95, 96 miles an hour. So Anthony was a little late on that pitch. We're going to wait.
The Tigers concerned as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is game 2 in the series. Game 3 coming up tomorrow. The upcoming matchup presented by the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning. And for the third game tomorrow, which can be seen on Fox Sports 1, Yvonne Gallardo and Randy Wolf.
Yvonne Gallardo used to be with Milwaukee, with Texas this year. He's got good stuff. Randy Wolf coming from Buffalo, 9-2 there, the 2.58 ERA. A couple of veterans hooking up tomorrow, lefty and a righty.
Well, they continue to tend to the fan who is hit by that foul ball. Well, in the second inning, the Rangers able to get a run. They got a slicing double off the bat at Venable. Then in the third, Prince Fielder skied a sac fly after a bunt single by DeShields. He moved all the way to third on a bad pickoff throw.
Then this is all good, JV. We showed you a little bit of it earlier. Sin Chu Chu doesn't believe it. He worked the top of the zone very well tonight. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. One of them earned, as you talked about, 1 base on balls, 8 strikeouts. That's 3 games over 7 strikeouts in a row. And that ERA for Justin Verlander continues to go down.
Another really good effort tonight for JV, but right now the concern is for the fan that was hit by that foul ball behind the Tiger dugout. Meanwhile, around the major leagues, some news and notes from the big leagues. Chase Utley playing his first game with the Dodgers tonight. That'll be a pretty good pickup for them.
Yeah, after 1,551 career games with the Phillies, it's got to feel weird having that different colored uniform on and being in Dodger Stadium as a Dodger.
How about the effort that Chris Archer had last night? He threw a 1-hit shutout against Houston.
Well, you can see it's the 4th start of 8+ innings this season. The kid's got great stuff. We've faced him from time to time, but he's just getting better and better with every outing. And feels strong again. I think he had a little bit of a medical issue last year, but this year came back strong and has just been dominant.
And those that have seen Miguel Sano play, the Tigers have seen him for a couple of games. This kid can really play. He's going to be a good one.
Well, look at their fastest to 10 home runs in Twins Senators history. He got some pop, and he's an excellent athlete, very young, and he's going to be a star of the future.
Well, as they continue to tend to the fan behind home plate, we'll take a timeout. Texas on top of the Tigers here in the 8th, 2-0. At the end, gave you right now they're separated by a game and a half.
Especially everybody's anticipating Toronto and New York, but that Baltimore club's a pretty good club. Only 5 games out, and they could sneak in there. It looks like they're falling behind, but I've seen crazier things happen. all these guys are going to play each other. That's one of the good things about the schedules nowadays is within the divisions, everybody usually has many games in the last month of the season, and you have an opportunity to make up ground in the head-to-head competitions.
Well, Colby Lewis started this game for the Rangers, and I guess he kind of had some trouble, but pitched around some jams. Was pretty good.
Yeah, like I said earlier, he only throws about 88, maybe 90 miles an hour, but he's a veteran, knows how to set hitters up, played good defense right there, and kept his players in the game. The Rangers have played very good behind him. Got out of 2 innings in the 3rd and in the 4th when the Tigers had something going on, the double play, and we had the leadoff double, unable to get Miggy in as well. There you see, head to head, both 7 innings. Colby Lewis with 6 hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts and a base on ball.
Really the only big difference, the strikeouts for JV had 8 of them compared to 2 for Lewis, who had a lot of fly ball outs in this contest.
Well, one of the other good stories regardless is that Justin Verlander is, I think, officially back. He just keeps on throwing good start after good start. The Tigers have had trouble syncing up sometimes with offense in the pitching and the defense, but it's a good sign.
Yeah, JV really good in the month of August. Did nothing to hurt his numbers here tonight. Another outstanding effort.
It's only his 12th start, so I mean we're deep into August and he only has 12 starts.
Well, we're happy to report the fan has been moved into a wheelchair and is responsive, so that's good news.
Yeah, you always hope that everybody's all right that gets nicked up. Those balls, like you say, I can't emphasize enough. You come to a game, you're sitting anywhere in the park, make sure you pay attention. And of course, I tell my family that all the time. It's printed on the ticket, and pay attention. That's good advice. I was worried about, like, in batting practice too. That's another one. People like to talk in batting practice. You come down early, you got to really watch it. I mean, as a player, you have to keep your eye. There's many baseballs flying around during batting practice that can get away from somebody unintentionally and can hurt you if you're not paying attention.
So there's our fan. She's okay, and that's really, really good news. They will take her out of the ballpark now and go for further treatment, and that's a little bit of a relief for Anthony Gose, who hit that foul ball and immediately was concerned about the welfare of the fan. Here are the wild card standings. The Tigers find themselves down 3.5 in the wild card.
Yep, only 2.5 behind Texas. We got 2 other teams in between, Minnesota and Tampa Bay. There you see Baltimore just a half game out, and it's going to come down to be tighter than you can anticipate. I can tell you that. And maybe some teams that you think that are out of it are going to come alive. There's always a good story that's ready to happen in Major League Baseball every year when you get around playoff time.
Well, Kella has taken a couple of warm-up tosses, says he's good to go. The count is 0-2 on Anthony Gose, who is leading things off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Gose's strikeout also hit by a pitch. Those 2 at bats against Colby Lewis. Tigers trying to get the leadoff man on here. Top of the order waiting on deck. The 0-2. Lifted foul back out of play.
96 miles an hour. That's bringing it pretty good. Right at the top of the zone. Anthony did a good job. Just get a piece of it. Hopefully he makes a mistake here.
Right back up the middle, and it's going to be cut off by Andrews. His throw is in time. They got him by half a step.
I think he hit that right off the end of the bat, cracked his bat. Andrews knew who the runner was, fielded it, got rid of it quickly, and got Gose by half a step.
One out. Here is Kinsler. Ian swings and misses 0-1. Kella's only 22 years old, born in Los Angeles.
They're bringing some young ones up. They've got some young kids in this lineup. Madur's 21. Talked about Kella.
0-2.
Roberto Hanser, 22. DeShields, 23.
And we just finished a series against the Cubs, who had a lot of young 20-year-olds, 21, 22, 23.
You want to have that good veteran mix, which they do.
Broken bat roller toward third, gobbled up there by Beltre. And there are 2 gone.
Yeah, Kella, he's got, I haven't seen him pitch before, and he comes right over the top. He's got good velocity, 96, 97 miles an hour. Got some movement on the pitches. It's tough sledding right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this kid looks impressive. 6'1", 230 he's listed at.
Drafted in the 12th round in 2012.
Ground ball right side. Diving stop at second by Odor. And his throw is in time. What a play by Rougned Odor. 3 ground ball outs for Kella, but he needed some help that time on that one. Comerica Bank, raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives the Motor City. And by Wallside Windows, we can do that. We are the factory. We go to the 9th here at Comerica Park. Rangers on top of the Tigers 2-0. And Blaine Hardy goes back to work.
Yep, Tigers down, get down there to their last outs. They got 3 left, so again, important to keep the Rangers off the board. Try and get this game tied up.
Fielder bangs a single to center field. Bring up Beltre. It's going to bring Gene Lamont out again. They're going to want to go back to the bullpen. The hope was Hardy could have gotten Fielder, but that was not the case.
Yep, he's going to go back to the righty, and we got Beltre, Moreland, Andrus, Ladure. Back to the lefties. We're out of lefties, so it's going to be the right-handers from here on out.
So we'll step aside. Tigers go back to the bullpen. We'll be back to Comerica. And now Neftali Feliz will take over.
Yep, coming over here from Texas when they let go of him. 14 games, 12 and 2/3 innings. Came and did well, then struggled a bit, but as of late, thrown the ball very well.
Got a pinch runner at first base. Alberto comes in to pinch run for Fielder. And now here is Beltre. Feliz trying to keep this a 2-0 game. Beltre had his knees buckled there. 0-1. He's 0 for 3 in this game. Beltre now 1 for his last 15. The 0-1 pitch. Shattered bat, rolled slowly towards short. Should be 2. There's 1. There's 2. And that barrel of the bat went flying.
Yeah, again, that went in over the top of the dugout as well. Feliz comes in, makes a good pitch, obviously inside. That's a maple bat. You can tell ash bats do not explode like that. And the easy double play.
Well, hopefully everyone is all right this time. It appears so. So they're empty now as Feliz gets the double play ball. Here's Mitch Moreland. 0 for 3 for Moreland. Couple of ground balls and a strikeout. Ball 1.
Let's get this guy here. Good night for a comeback.
Tigers have the guys to do it in the 9th, middle of their lineup. 2-0 the count.
It's a good crowd tonight. It's been very quiet though, not a lot of action. So let's excite them and wake them up.
34,000 plus. Swing and a miss.
97 miles an hour up on top.
Moreland's gone after that pitch quite a bit.
Yeah, when you're a hitter and you got a 2-0 count, you've got a 2-run lead, you're thinking about leaving the yard, so you tend to have a little extra energy in your legs and you will chase. Swing a little harder, makes you swing a little longer.
Strike on the outer edge. Sean Tallis in their closer is warming up. Another broken bat. Slowly to the right side. Kinsler going to come over to cut it off. And they'll get the out to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Here come the Tigers in the bottom of the 9th.
Cabrera. He's been involved in both of these reviews tonight. This is at the plate. Initially called safe, changed to out. Then on the double play ball at second base, we thought we clearly had a view that showed that he got back in time, but New York disagreed, and so did Brad Ausmus, and he got ejected. Gene Lamont took over, and here we are in the bottom of the ninth inning, down by 2 with our last chance to tie this score up, go ahead, and win the ball game.
Sean Tollison will take over the closer for the Rangers. I guarantee you this, not going to be easy for him.
Now, 23 out of 24 saves. This guy's been pretty good. Started in the Dodgers organization. Low whip, strikeouts, low walks. Ryan Strasselberger takes over in left field. Will Venable has moved to right field.
Tollison now will have to go through 3, 4, and 5 to the Tigers lineup. Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez. Miguel in the ballgame doubles in each of his last 2 at-bats. Fouled that one off, and the count is 0-2. Tollison converted the first 13 career save tries after becoming their closer on May 20th. He's had 23 in that span. May 20th to this point. In the gap toward left center field. It's going to get down and go to the wall. Cabrera has another extra base hit. His 3rd consecutive double. Man, could he hit.
I tell you, he's ball leaves his bat at a different speed than anybody else. You can see a change up and it's hanging. See him bring those hands in there. He's so good at directing the sweet spot of the barrel of the bat to the baseball. He stays back. He's never lunging, never out in the front foot. An easy stand-up double, his 3rd of the evening. That brings the tying run to the plate and Victor Martinez. Maybe that rally I was feeling last inning is going to come to fruition.
Well, it's a good start. It's the 4th time in his career that Miggy has had a 3-double game.
And if you're Miguel Cabrera, his run means nothing. You don't want to push him. You don't want to hurt him. You don't want to. His run doesn't mean anything. The tying run does.
Ball 1 high.
So if Victor gets on, we're going to have a pinch runner. Probably going to be Rajai Davis.
Seventh hit of the ball game for the Tigers. Tying run at the plate. Nobody out. That's a strike called 1-1.
Victor's a veteran hitter. You see, he just took that all the way. Tollison working him down and away. I'm sure Victor's going to thought he would take that strike, look for something middle in. He might yank out of the ballpark. Didn't get it, so you take it.
Victor's had some bad luck tonight, lined into a double play in his last at bat, and then hit one deep to center in his middle at bat. He'll spray that one foul, but counts. Let's check in with Matt Shepard now, the preview of tonight's Tigers Live postgame.
All right, Mario, excuse me if I try to get the heck out of the way because of all these balls and bats that are coming our way. Right now we have Bobby Wilson lined up. He doesn't want to talk to me. I'd much rather talk to a Tiger, too. Let's see if they can stage a comeback either way. We'll definitely hear from Brad Ausmus and Justin Verlander, who's given up 1 earned run or less in 6 of his last 8 starts. Mario, Kirk, back to you.
All right, Shep, thanks. Hopefully we look forward to a happy Tigers Live postgame. Tollison ready with the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He got him to chase up and out of the zone with 95-mile-an-hour heat.
Yeah, Tollison moved the ball around. Very good in that at bat. Say climbed the ladder here. You can see the target going up. And though that ball looks very high, when you're a hitter like that, that ball starts at the top of the zone. It moves away and moves up on you.
Here is J.D. Martinez. He singled in his last at bat, then he raced on a double play. In there for a strike, 0-1. How about a little magic on your birthday here? Martinez turning 28 today. Getting the JD chance going.
That's nice.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looks like Texas bullpen constructed like many around the big leagues. You get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Power arms come in. Kellen comes in throwing 96, 97. Tolson now coming in here 94, 95 with good location.
Location there.
That ball's off the plate.
Martinez thought so.
Yeah, it's off.
Ooh, it was.
It's well off the plate.
Texas relievers, keep this in mind, have allowed 50 homers this year, 3rd most in the majors. 2-2.
Smart catcher back there. He went for a little more. The last pitch was about 8 inches off the plate. The previous pitch was 3 or 4. And it's going to show it's pretty darn close. He went right back to that spot.
First one was a strike, and that one wasn't. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. JD is down on strikes, 2 gone.
So what are you going to do? You got to swing at it.
Right. Well, here is Castellanos coming up. That.
They're all there. First one was a strike. Nevertheless, Tigers down to their last out. A little magic in Nick's bat. Stay tuned.
Castellanos with a single and 3 at-bats, double play ball in his last one. Cabrera led it off with a double, still standing there. And Nick looks at a ball outside, 1-0.
So he started everybody off with the slider first pitch, then he goes to the heater.
Tollison with the 1-0 pitch. Stayed away again, 2-0.
Look at runners in scoring position. Texas 1 for 5. Tigers 2 for 7. Missed a couple of opportunities in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 6th. And hopefully not in the 9th. Pitcher and catcher having a hard time hooking up. Time is called. A lot of signs being flashed there.
Two balls, no strikes. Ooh, he floated one in there for a strike.
Yeah, it was up and away though. He's probably looking for something more middle.
2-1. Tollison is a native Texan, born in Dallas, lives in Allen, Texas. The 2-1. Oh, strike call, 2-2.
Yep, just keep it calling it.
Castellanos beside himself right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you're down by a couple runs. You're trying to be selective and it's going against you. Nick's doing a good job staying focused.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and Tollison strikes out the side after the leadoff double by Miggy. So the Rangers even up the series. They win it here tonight, and they shut out the Tigers. Your final score from Comerica 2-0. We'll be back with more downtown Detroit.